course, the first step that we have is that we do the conceptualization. The conceptualization will not be possible unless you have the background first on the different approaches and designs of research. And once that we have the conceptualization already, eventually it gave us the title. Okay, it provided us with a title, and then when we have the title already, we have already the statement of the purpose. We already have the research questions, the hypothesis, and our research paradigm based on our conceptualization process. So the next step we're going to have is that we will be writing already our review, our introduction, okay, our research introduction through John Swale's creating a research space model. Okay, so with that, no, when we have the introduction, makikita rin po natin na our introduction actually indicated that we have started already writing our chapter 1. Okay, the first part of our chapter 1 is our research introduction. So when we're done already with our research introduction, the next step now that we're going to have is we are going to write already our review of related literature and studies. Okay, so in a nutshell, here we have the entire proposal or the entire parts already of the research study based on the format, the international format of the IMRAD. No? So we have the introduction, if you note very well, first actually we have the abstract, but we can deal abstract later na lang po, mga ma'am and sir, kasi yan ang pinakahuling ginagawa once you're done already with your chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4, or if you're done already with your introduction, literature review, methodology, results and discussion, conclusions, and of course the references. Okay, so but basically if you observe our introduction, it follows actually the moves of Swales, no, in 3 steps, no. In reality po yung moves ni Swales actually 3 steps lang po siya, but for the purpose that we would like to make the lesson on methods of research easier for you, we try to separate review of related literature in our move number 1, or establishing the research territory. So if you observe after the introduction, you're going to write already your review of related literature and studies, or your literature review. The IMRAD, no, or the IMRAD format actually is an international format for journal publications, but in the case of the Philippines, we are not yet using the IMRAD format for thesis and dissertations, only for journal publications, or kung gusto niyo po ipapublish yung inyong thesis na po into a journal. So, what is literature? When we say, ma'am and sir, literature, this is not actually literature with regard to subjects like the works of Shakespeare, the works of Milton, McQueen, etc. The definition of literature in methods of research is a technical one. Okay, it is an oral or written record of man's significant experiences that are artistically conveyed in a prosaic manner. Now, pag sinabi po natin prosaic, actually is prose. From the word prose, no, it is actually factual, and basically the format, the structure of what you are writing is in paragraph form. Okay, so dito makikita na when you do your review of related literature, you should have the knowledge on how to write a paragraph. So as a review, ano ang paragraph ba? Ano bang pagsulat ng talata? It should have a topic sentence. It should be based on a main idea. It should have supporting details, of course, and basically in entirety, the composition of the paragraphs that you are writing will follow the conventions of composition writing. Like unity, it is focusing on one topic only, on one title only. It is coherent, which means that there is a correct connection, okay, a relationship between the ideas of your paragraph. And then, of course, we have organization, yung tamang pagkasunod-sunod ng ideas in writing. So very basic na paragraph writing, composition writing, ang review of related literature. I would like to be very clear that when you write your RRL, review of related literature, and your RRS, review of related studies, you should be writing all in paragraphs. Wala po tayong makikita na nilalagyan nyo ng numbers, ang ideas. Wala tayong nakikita na nagbo-bullet po kayo. Okay, so everything should be written in paragraph form. Okay, that is the technical format of writing your review of related literature, and that's what it means to be writing in a prosaic manner, in a paragraph form. Okay, it is actually what anything that is the contribution of man, no, either in oral or written form, is considered to be literature. So what are the purposes of review of related literature? So eto, medyo ipapasadahan ko na lang po ito mga ma'am and sir, no? Very bookish po ito. Okay, from research experts, no? Yes, so basically from Creswell, to obtain background knowledge of your research, to relate your study to the current condition, situation of the world, and to show the capacity of your research work to introduce new knowledge, no? So kaya nga tinatawag nating review of related literature, because you are actually gathering, no, the different contributions of knowledge of different people. Kaya nga nire-review mo siya, okay, so that eventually you can come up with new knowledge, no, down the line. So number 4, to expand through disprove the findings of your previous research studies, no. If you remember in your research introduction, particularly in your move number 3, okay, your move number 2 is already a semi or an initial review of related literature and studies, no. And from there, yung review of related literature nyo is actually the more expanded version na siya ng move number 2 nyo, okay, to expand, prove, or disprove the findings of previous studies. Okay, so if you remember, that is one of the categories of our move number 3. Either we would like to contradict, to counterclaim, either we would like to indicate the gap, may kakulangan sa mga pinag-aralan ng mga dati pang mga studies, or gusto lang nating ituloy yung mga studies na ginawa ng iba. Okay, then to increase your understanding of underlying theories, principles, concepts of your research. Exactly, no? So it is in the review of related literature where you can find actually the supporting theories or models of your study. Yan makikita ang pinaka-expanded na discussion ng inyong theoretical framework. And then of course, to explain technical terms involved in your study, in your research study. Okay, to continue, number 7, to highlight the significance of your work with the kind of evidence gathered to support the conclusion of your research. As basically, in your chapter 3, based on the data that you have, a part of the explanation is that hahanguin nyo uli yung mga sinabi nyo sa inyong review of related literature and related studies, and you are going to corroborate that with the data, whether the data actually is supportive or contradicting already with your RRL or RRS. By the way, ma'am and sir, particularly the expression or the technical term, no, when we say RRL, alam na natin that's the review of related literature. Pag RRS, review of related studies. Next, we have number 8, to avoid repeating previous research studies. Okay, so hindi natin replicate totally, but we can apply your research na kaparehas nung sa iba on a different context, on a localized context using different participants. And then, to recommend the necessary or further research on a certain topic to further improve the study. So here, no? So we have now the styles and approaches of review of related literature. Okay? So in Creswell in 2005 indicated that there are different styles, no? Maraming styles or approaches of review of related literature. Let's try to bear it all already. So ilan sila? Meron tayong Okay, 5. The first one is the conceptual review. Okay, it is the analysis of concepts and ideas. Actually, when you do conceptual review, okay, um, it is there that you try to explain certain concepts already. Minsan, madalas dyan nanggagaling ngayon yung conceptual framework, no? You try to explain what are the concepts of the different experts or the different authors, no? Kaparehas din siya halos ng critical review, which is what? It is the explanation focusing on theories and hypotheses of previous works of experts and researchers, no? Pag sinabi naman natin na state of the art review of related literature, it deals with the latest research studies, no? So, pag state of the art, yung mga bago-bagong studies na po siya. By the way po, in your research introduction, ma'am and sir, I observed that yung chapter, yung move number 2 po natin, yung mga years, no, ng ating mga review of related literature and studies po doon, most of them are medyo luma-luma na. So, Kawayan College actually is requiring that at least yung mga ginagamit nyo po ng mga review of related literature, mga RRL, RRS ay 10 years na up to 10 years po. Ibig sabihin, if now is 2020, dapat mga 2010 ang gagamitin nyo po. Kung medyo luma na po, hanapin nyo sa Google kung may nagbanggit na bagong study doon, and as cited na lang, as cited by the new author na mas bago-bago from 2010 pataas na po, 2011, 2012, because in your writing, the format of MC is that they require review of related studies, okay, or review of related literature. Although maraming writers, karamihan yung ating mga educational psychologists po ay conceptual sa critical review na po. But with regard to studies, basically, you have to use 10 years younger na mga related studies from 2010 pataas up to the present. Then of course, we have expert review, which is what? Based on an expert's influence on the ideology, paradigm, belief on him or her. Okay, so this one, anybody who is an expert in the field, you can do your review of related literature, even from interviews. Pwede yung interviewin yung expert ko na yun. Hindi lang palaging nasa libro, pwede rin through interview for as long as the person is expert. And then scoping review is what? Prepares a situation for future research. So it indicates the scope of your research, no? So ibig sabihin, it indicates what is the coverage of your discussion on your review of related literature based on the key terms of your study. Makikita niyo po yung key terms niyo po doon sa title niyo po. Okay? Doon sa inyong statement of the problem. Okay? So, it's very important that you know the scope of your review of related literature, which we'll be discussing later. The other style, no, or the other way, aside from the traditional, we have the systematic review of related literature. When we say systematic, ito po yung sistema na susundan nyo po when you are already writing or researching review of related literature and studies. Okay, so isa-isahin natin po siya, will be recall. Alright. So, the first one is you should have a clear understanding of the research question. So once that you have the research questions already, you know already what will be the scope of your review of related literature. Particularly sa title pa lang po, makikita nyo na po na what are the key terms na hanapin nyo po in your review of related literature, no? So that's why you cannot write your RRL not unless hindi pa kompleto yung conceptualization nyo. Ibig sabihin, wala pa kayong title, wala pa kayong SOP, wala pa kayong research questions, wala pa kayong hypothesis, okay? Wala pa kayong conceptual paradigm, okay? After that, you do manner of obtaining the data, how do you obtain the data, okay? So, and then When you say manner of obtaining the data, where do you get your sources? No? Nowadays, hindi na mahirap kasi meron na tayong internet. No? Sometimes you don't have to leave your house anymore, especially nowadays. No? We have the crisis, COVID crisis, kumbaga, or even wala na yung COVID crisis. No? So it's easier to obtain data already because we have access with the internet, yung ating mga database sa mga library. If you can have the password for a certain university library like the Miguel de Benavides Library in UST or sa Ateneo Library, may mga database yun. So you can obtain a lot of data, a lot of sources from there. Or pwede pa rin, you can visit the library itself, no? And the next step is that you do the literature search, okay? Next, we have determined which data, study sources, and knowledge are valuable. Eto, ma'am and sir, you have to judge, no? Kaya nga review of related literature, okay? Related, it should be related with your title. It should be related to the key terms of your topic or your title. So you have to decide which among the many sources na nababasa nyo, na nakukuha nyo, na download nyo, kinokopya nyo, will be related to your study. You decide. Kung hindi naman connected, hindi naman related, then don't get it. No? Huwag nyo siyang kunin. Okay? Then you have to check also the methodological soundness of the research studies. No? Actually, kahit yan ay quantitative or qualitative research, okay pa rin, or mixed method. You can get from both quantitative or qualitative or mixed method. And then, very important, okay, you have to summarize. You have to paraphrase. You know? We avoid copying. Most of all, we avoid copy-pasting po. Yun ang pinakabawal. No? So you can present it. Ito na lang po. In MC kasi, hindi mahilig si MC na ipipresent graphically in the review of related literature. Hindi sila mahilig na kinokopya pati yung figure. Everything will be written once again, yung sabi ko nga, in paragraph form. So you have to write it in paragraph form, you have to summarize, you have to paraphrase. Okay? So bawal na bawal ang copy-paste. So, here we are, the 5 steps in conducting a literature review according to Creswell. So, what are the 5 steps that you're going to do when you do your review of related literature and study? So the first one is you have to identify the key terms. No? The key terms, ma'am and sir, makikita nyo doon sa title nyo. Okay? I'll give you examples on that later. Step number 2, of course, maghanap tayo ng mga related literature. Number 3, critically evaluate and select. Sabi ko nga, you decide saan doon ang pwede nyo i-consider in your paper, in your thesis, na pwede isama sa inyong RRL or RRS, and then you judge, you select if that is good or not. Number 4, organize the literature. You have to organize it. Yung mga paragraphs po na kinuha nyo po, you have to organize it in a way that it will be written in a very organized review of related literature. Basically, ang inyong RRL, review of related literature and review of related studies, siya po yung pinakamakapal na part, no? Isa siya sa pinakamakapal na part ng inyong thesis, no? So tatakbo siya ng almost 50 to 80 pages. So you should know how to organize the paragraphs, how to organize, kaya nga review. Pag sinabi natin review, you are explaining that from A to Z. You're explaining that in a clear and an organized manner. Okay? Na naiintindihan yung pagka-connection ng inyong paliwanag. A review is an organized explanation of everything that you have researched, of everything that you have summarized from the ideas of other people. Okay? So, and that the last part is, that's the time that you write already your review. Okay? So, we do step number 1, identify the key terms. Okay? So, how do we do that? Of course, we should have the title. Ito po, sample ng title natin, Weapon Possession by High School Students. Ito po yung title natin. So, my question is, when we do review of related literature, maghahanap na tayo ng review of related literature. So, nasa ang key terms, no? So, the key terms for this, hahanapin natin through the encyclopedia or mas madali ngayon, Google, no? So, the key terms that we're going to look at is, that is encyclopedia, weapons, high school, at students. It is in your title, actually. Ngayon, kay Google pa lang, hindi mo na kailangan na isa-isahin yan. Pwede mo na ilagay yung buong title mo and then click, nandun na. So, lagyan nyo ng PDF. Ito, weapon possession by high school students, then dash, lagyan nyo ng PDF, ipapakita ni Google lahat ng mga documents, lahat ng mga sources in document file, portable document file, PDF file, ita-download nyo na lang. Lahat ng mga related doon, ng mga studies, or mga articles, nandun na. So, mas madali na ngayon. So, if you have identified the key terms, okay, so these are the key terms that we have according to this, based on this title. Weapons, high school, and then students. So, when you write your review of related literature, ang unang topic mo is weapon, followed by high school, followed by students. Let's have another example. Ito po ay title ng aking dissertation. Teacher Cognition on Reading Instruction Reflections. So, what are the key terms on teacher cognition on reading instruction reflections? Kung maghahanap ako ng mga key terms, no, that will be the basis for my discussion sa aking review of related literature, ano po yung hahanapin ko po when I research? So, hahanapin ko yung first, the term, the construct of teacher cognition, followed by reading instruction, and then followed by reflections or reflective teaching practices. Ito po yung mga constructs or yung mga subtopics na hanapin ko based on my title. Let's have another one. The title ng ating sample na introduction from the internet. Kung naalala nyo, ito po yung sample natin sa ating introduction. Cyberbullying, an exploratory study of adolescents' girls' perspectives on technology's impact on relationships. So, meron siyang 5 key terms, no? So, sige. Supposedly sa classroom, i-recite natin to. Pero, what are the 5 terms? What are the 5 key terms that you're going to look for review of related literature and studies based on this title? The first one is cyberbullying. Next is what? So, you're going to look for sources on what? The lives of adolescent girls. Okay, number 2. Then, we have perspectives for number 3. And then, we have number 4, technology. And then, of course, number 5, we are going to research on ideas on relationships. So, yan. Yun ang mga 5 na mga key terms that you're going to search in your review of related literature. Saan siya nakabase nga uli? Doon sa mga constructs or mga variables ng inyong title. So, if you know the constructs, if you know the variables of your title, then you know what are the subtopics of your review of related literature. Step number 2, ma'am and sir, classification of sources of literature. So, ipakita natin the pyramid according to Creswell in 2005. Ito po. So, you're going to ask me, sir, ano po yung mas pwedeng pagkatiwalaan, no? What is the more valid or the what will be the references which are of quality, no? Mas maganda, pinakamaganda. If you take a look, Creswell in 2005 indicated the standards from the low standards to the high standards of references. So, first one, on top of the pyramid, yung mga bago-bago, yung mga early stage materials, posted papers on websites, yung mga sa websites, professional association newsletters, papers, and conference presentation, sila yung tinatawag natin early stage material. Medyo nasa level siya ng medyo low standard, no? Next line, we have index publications, okay? Conference papers, dissertations, yan. Yung mga studies, yung mga thesis, professional association papers, and college and university publications. Okay? Then you can search, you can use also yung mga journal, from the journal publications, yung mga refereed, yung mga na-review ng mga experts, non-refereed, international, national, regional, and state, no? Of course, pababa ng pababa, nagiging maganda yung source. We have books, research studies, and essays. And of course, the highest standard ay galing siya sa mga summaries like encyclopedia, research reviews, handbooks, and then mga research abstract. So if you note very well, according to Creswell, yan. So idea appear first, yung medyo maaga-aga pa, low standard siya. Pero yung mga 10 years na, sila yung mga high standards, no? So you choose, no? So you can choose from the different sources, from the low to the high standards. Of course, we say that yung mga nandito sa baba, ito yung mga high standards, no? Yeah. May mga ganyan naman sa internet din, naka-PDF format lang. So the best sources are of the high standards such as journal articles, books, and then the summaries. So, critically evaluate, okay? Ma'am and sir, ito very important. People will be asking, may nagtatanong, sir, kukunin ko ba ito? Ito ba yung maganda sa paper ko? You decide, okay? So, it is a good or accurate source. Mapagkakatiwalaan ba? Okay? So, ito, medyo pasadahan na lang natin. Rely as much possible on journal articles, pinakamaganda. Okay? Then, priority system in searching literature. Siyempre, unahin nyo, mas maganda from the books, printed books, from encyclopedia, from journals. No? Yung mga websites na medyo doubtful kayo, huwag nyo kunin. Okay? Siyempre, kailangan din ng mga research, studies from thesis and dissertations. Kaya meron tayong RRL and, of course, RRS. Then, sabi nga, include both quantitative and qualitative research studies in your review of related literature. Wala mang problema, no? You don't discriminate. Kahit quantitative yung study mo, pwede ka pa rin kumuha ng RRL or RRS na qualitative. Or, ikay qualitative, yung paper mo ay qualitative, you can still search for quantitative or mixed method sources in your RRL saka RRS. Is it relevant? Okay, makabuluhan ba? May silbi ba? Okay, topic relevance. It is actually relevant to your topic. Relevant ba siya with regard to the scope of your study, yung individual and site relevance? Mas maganda kung yung review of related literature is contextualized according to your the locality, okay, in the context of the Philippines, in the context of your city, or in the context of your school, mas maganda. Is it relevant according to what? Connected to your problem and research questions. And then accessibility, of course, relevance. Is it available from libraries or websites? So wala namang problema to. Basically, if it's not available in the library, if you have the data, you have the internet, then the internet will be very convenient. So, step number 4 natin, we have organize the literature. Okay, first, what do you do? Ito po, ma'am and sir, no? How do you organize your files, no? How do you do the note-taking, kumbaga? Well, it's very important that in the university, you can photocopy. Pwede yung photocopy yung mga pinagpupuan nyo. If you have a printer, galing sa internet, you can actually download them. And you can file them. This is very important. Okay? Nowadays, you have the computer. If you cannot photocopy them, you can download them in your laptop. Okay? Kaya mas maganda, when you do search, yung hanapin nyo yung naka-PDF file so you can download them and you can save them, you can file them in folders in your laptop or in your computer. Basic kasi dati, wala pang computer, you can file hard copy kasi naka-print talaga and so on. Now, how do you do taking notes? Siyempre, no? Yung note-taking natin, of course, sabi nga natin, we don't copy-paste, no? We do note-taking, abstracting studies, no? So, when you do abstracting, actually, the paragraph has a particular format. So, once that you have gathered already, nararamdaman nyo, marami na kayong nasusulat, marami na kayong nagagather. Ang pinaka-the best actually is that you can do your review of related literature, your note-taking through index card. Magandang gumamit ng index card, very basic po yun. Okay? Although nowadays, meron na tayong laptop, pero if you do your review of related literature, pag nagre-research po kayo, and each source na pinagkukuhaan nyo ay naka-index card, kunwari eto, parang ganyan, lahat ng mga pinagkukuhaan nyo, ini-index card nyo one by one, the topic, kung anong sinabi, anong source, anong year, and then basically, pag lahat yon, kada isang pinagkukuhaan nyo, sinusulat nyo sa index card, you can do literature map. Ibig sabihin, there's a time na marami na kayong nakukuha, kumakapal na yung index card, you can organize them. Parang pwede nyo siya i-atado na parang baraha. Ilalagay nyo dito yung lahat ng mga studies abroad, lahat ng mga ideas about US programs, ilalagay nyo dito yung about personal insight. So, pwede nyo siyang ibaraha, balasahin at i-organize kasi the note-taking that you have used is through indexing or index card. Yun, yung tinatawag nating categorical indexing. So, ma'am and sir, I suggest, kung pwede, ang pinaka-the best way on do researching is that for each source, for each idea, or for each reference na napagkukuhaan nyo, ilagay nyo sa isang index card with a title, with the author, with the year, at lahat ng information na kailangan nyo dun sa references, publication, title ng libro, at kung ano yung actual na mga sinabi nila na you were able to write it down, sinamarize nyo siya in paragraph form na, using your own words na dun pa lang, you are already doing the correct research, no? You are writing in your own words per index card. Okay? Then, the next step already is writing the review. Susulat nyo na yung per paragraph. Ito yung pinaka-common po, ma'am and sir, pinaka-basic for beginning researchers, yung tinatawag nating dump and stringing method. Okay? The dump and stringing method basically is what? According to Baraceros, is one author or one source, then one paragraph. Basic na basic po ito. Okay? So, this source or these ideas here are from Blair and Fletcher. So, ibig sabihin, one reference, isang paragraph, sa kanila lahat yun. Okay? Very basic na paragraph writing in what? In writing review of related literature. Okay? The next style in writing the review of related literature is yung tinatawag nating state-of-the-art, according to Dr. Melchor Tatlonghari, which means that in one paragraph, sa isang paragraph ko na yan, marami siyang pinanggalingan na sources. For example, this one in red is from Ibarra Diner West et al. Okay, naghati pa sila. Galing dito kay Wallach, Mitchell, and Pilkenhorn in 2007. In blue, in the same paragraph, meron din siyang ideas coming from Wallach et al. Okay? And then yung color black po, ito po ay commentary nyo po. So it means that yung red may pinanggaling ng ibang source, yung blue, other sources, and you discuss them, you try to fuse the connection of their ideas into one paragraph. Ito po yung pinaka-the best example ng tamang paggawa ng paragraph in review of related literature. Okay, in state of the art, you were able to gather, connect all the different references or sources, and how you connect them into a new idea or into a new knowledge based on your readings or based on your research. Yan, ito yung pinakamaganda actually. Pero yung dump and stringing method, okay lang naman yun. Ang masama lang, copy-paste. Huwag po tayo magpa-copy-paste. And of course, a part of your writing, syempre, you should know how to use transitional devices. And transitional devices provide the connection of your ideas per paragraph. Yan. Okay? Pag sinabing transitional devices, how is your previous paragraph connected to your second paragraph? Nag-add ka lang ba also, additionally, again? Kaparehas lang ba rin sinasabi ng previous paragraph? Similarly, are you contradicting already yung isang mong paragraph, kino-contradict mo na with your next paragraph? You say, however, basic na basic po ito na na English lesson po on paragraph writing. So, you should know how to connect your paragraphs using the different transitional devices. Next, of course, whatever is being said by the author, dapat alam niyo yung paggamit ng active voice, active verbs, no? Villar in 2017 analyzed. Okay, as much possible po, yung ating review of related literature, naka-past tense po siya. And of course, you have to use the different active verbs. No? Hindi lang palaging explain pa ulit-ulit. You can indicate what did they do? Did they analyze? Did they argue? Sila ba'y nag-assess? Sila ba'y nag-compare? Sila ba'y nag-demonstrate? So you use the different variety of active verbs based on what the authors did on their study, or kung ano yung mga ginawa nila based on their contributions sa review of related literature. Huwag lang puro noted, explain, paulit-ulit. You have plenty of active verbs to use in your study. Now, depende po yan. Pag ang study po ay historical past, indicating na ginawa niya to in 1980, so past tense. Pero if the author actually is stating a factual idea, present tense po yung gagamitin mo. So, pakiramdaman niyo po kung ang context niya, past, edi pag past tense po tayo. Pero pag yung sinasabi niya, makatotohanan, it's a factual idea, so basically, present tense po tayo. Then we have, of course, number 5, writing the review. Okay? So, when you start your review of related literature, ito po yung ating sample na introductory paragraph. Okay? This will be our first one. Yan. Standard po yan. Pwedeng kukopyahin nyo na lang except yung kulay pula. Okay? So, the introductory paragraph actually is like this. The paper gives a closer view on the paper's related literature, significant theoretical underpinnings, and a brief survey of related studies on epistemological theories, teacher cognition, and reflective teaching practices. Etong pula po, hindi nyo po pwedeng kopyahin. Ito po yung key terms ng isang study na pinagkuhaan ko dito. Ang ipapalit nyo dito, yung key terms po ng sarili nyong study. Where can you find the key terms na uli? Doon sa inyong title. It's on the title. Ito, pwede nyo nang kopyahin ulit ito. This will provide the basis for a systematic analysis of the data that will form, or that form na lang, wala na yung will. Okay? Tanggalin nyo na yung will, kasi ito ay, kung proposal pa lang, may will pa. That will form the findings, conclusions, and recommendations of the study. Lahat po kayo, ang pasok po ng paragraph nyo when you do your review of related literature is this format. Ganito po ang suggested format po when you do your proposal. When you start your review of related literature. Okay, ito lang papalitan nyo yung kulay pula based on your key terms. Example po tayo. Okay, let's have a sample here. So, ito po, actual, from the actual page po ng isang thesis. Yan. If you observe, review of related literature, wala nang studies. Ganyan po yung pinaka-title niya lang. Kasama na po dyan yung studies. So, if you observe, based on the format, ayan po, ito yung format natin. Ito yung introductory paragraph niyo po. Ito yung pinakaunang paragraph. The paper gives a closer view on the paper's related literature, significant theoretical underpinnings, and a brief survey of related studies and belief systems of the students in language learning, corrective feedback in language learning, and strategy development in language teaching. Ito po ay mga key terms ng title ng thesis nung nagmamay-ari ng thesis na to. Okay? Wrong spelling lang po dito. Pasensya na ha. These provide, wala na yung will kasi thesis na po ito eh. These may ilang dapat. Provide the basis for the systematic analysis of the data that form the findings, conclusions, and recommendations of the study. So, if you observe, yung first key term ng kanyang title, yun ang pinaka-subtitle niya sa kanyang review of related literature. Naka-bold, formatting na po ito ha, naka-bold, and then period. So, pinasok niya na yung kanyang mga related literature na na-research. Yan pinakapasok niya. So, tatlo po ang kanyang discussion dito. Yung belief systems of the students in language learning. I-discuss niya rin yung corrective feedback. And i-discuss niya rin yung strategy development in language teaching based on his title. By the way, tapos na po ito. graduate na po yung may-ari nito or nakatapos na yung paper niya. Product din ng methods of research in my class. Okay po, so ganyan ang itsura niya in actual paper, no? Sa actual na po na NC paper. Okay? Okay, next one. So, concluding statements of the review. Once that you have written already all of the of your review of related literature and related studies at tapos na kayo, this will be our last paragraph. Kung meron tayong introductory paragraph, meron tayong concluding paragraph. Ito po yung concluding paragraph natin. Okay? So, the concluding statement of literature provides the summary of the themes mentioned in the review and then justification for the need for additional research. Okay? So, ito ang sample format natin pwede yung sundan. As a whole, the explanations given highlighted some of the gaps in the areas of. Ito yung key terms po nung may-ari ng thesis na yan. Huwag nyo kopyahin. Ilagay nyo po yung key terms nyo based on your title. If you observe some of the gaps, if you remember, binabanggit niya ulit yung kanyang move number 3. So, ibig sabihin, when you have your concluding paragraph, babanggitin niyo ulit yung inyong move number 3 on the last paragraph of your review of related literature and studies. In that way, makikita niyo po, ma'am and sir, na connected ang ating paper from the title to the SOP, to the research questions, to the hypothesis, to the conceptual framework, to the introduction, to the review of related literature. Sila ay magkakakonect. This one, makita nyo nakakonect pa rin siya with regard to our introduction kasi nga, we mentioned our move number 3 in our what? In our last paragraph of the review of related literature. So, once again, yung mga naka-block na to, pwede nyo nang copyhin to. Ang papalitan nyo lang po dito, etong pula, which is the key terms of your title. And at the same time, pwede nyo palitan to, yung gaps na to, kung ang move number 3 nyo ay contradicting, or you are just what? Continuing the inquiry or continuing the tradition of the topic that you would like to do. So, gap, ito ay move number 3 nung may-ari ng thesis na to. Okay? Ito, sample po. Sample from the actual thesis nung pinakita ko kanina. Ito yung kanyang last paragraph. Okay? As a whole, the explanations given highlighted some of the gaps and the shortcomings in the areas of belief systems of the students in language learning, corrective feedback. Yan. Yung mga key terms niya po uli yan. Eto, kinopya niya na lang to. Siya na lang tapos nito. Pero basically, ganito po yung itsura ng ating last paragraph in your review of related literature and studies. And you observe, last paragraph niya, ang next part na po is yung theoretical framework. So makikita nyo po, when you're done, umuusad na po kayo in your chapter 1 and chapter 2. So this is the sample format. May grade po kayo dito on how to write the introductory and the concluding paragraph of your review of related literature and studies. Magbibigay po ako ng sample talaga ng chapters 1 and 2 proposal para makita nyo po yung pagkasunod-sunod. No? You have a good example. You have a good model. Alright. So, what are the 3 terms on how to do citation? Okay? Terms to express appreciation for or recognition of the owners of the ideas that you have written in your review of related literature and studies. Okay? Ito yung tinatawag nating parenthetical citation. So, the first one, syempre, acknowledgement, which is 1 page of your thesis, the beginning portion of your thesis, where you do the melodramatic, ito madrama po ito. Ito po yung binabanggit nyo. You mention all of the people who contributed in the completion of your paper, which is tinatawag nating acknowledgement page. No, you acknowledge your parents. No, you acknowledge the help of our Lord Jesus Christ for helping you, and all of the people who helped you in finishing your study. The next one is yung tinatawag nating reference or bibliography, which will be discussed next week po. Okay, we'll be discussing this next week. Ito yung mga second to the last lesson na po natin to. The rest po, after we're done next week with discussing the references po, you are already doing your chapters 1 and 2 na po. And then of course, yung tinatawag nating part of your review of related literature is that you do the citation or parenthetical citation or in-text citation. Ito po yung you mention the author and the year of the source of your RRL or RRS. Sige po. This is what? Basically, we do citation or we recognize the ownership of that particular source or idea because of academic honesty. Hindi tayo nangungopya, we don't do plagiarism. So, if you note very well, we do in-text citation. Ito po, author, surname, and year. Very common po. In the case of Lou, okay, so we do in-text citation by just mentioning apelyido lang, okay? Lou, and then 2002 inside the parentheses, okay? Tapos ano yung sinabi niya. Okay? In the case that you do direct quotation, you place the actual words of the author. Binabanggit nyo yung actual words ng author. Hindi nyo na pinaparaphrase. You don't use anymore your own words. Pero, nilalagyan mo ng direct quotation, which means that ito yung actual niyang sinabi na talaga. And when you do direct quotation, automatic ilalagay nyo po yung page kung saan nyo nabasa yung actual words na yon. Pero, you cannot abuse this, ma'am and sir. Hindi pwedeng abusuhin po ito kasi 10% lang ang pwedeng direct quotation sa inyong review, sa inyong thesis actually. Hindi pwedeng lahat direct quotation. And then, of course, the most common na gagawin nyo, almost 90% of your thesis, yung tinatawag nating paraphrase or summary, which means that you have written what? The ideas of the author, Riley, 2004, you were able to use your own words in writing his or her idea. And of course, we know very well, for all the authors that you have mentioned, Riley and then Lou, you try to place them using the reference list. Ilalagay nyo po sa reference list. Ayan, nakalista po sa references sila. So, as a strategy, ma'am and sir, tuturuan ko kayo, habang gumagawa na kayo nito, sinusulat nyo, yung per paragraph at may sinulat na kayong author, maglagay kayo sa baba tulad ng ganito. Sulat nyo na kung sino nagsabi nun, kahit huwag nyo muna ayusin, lagay nyo lang muna kung ano yung libro, ano yung title, ano yung page, kahit hindi pa naka-format ko, lagay nyo lang. Every time na naglalagay kayo ng author dyan, maglagay kayo dito kung maglagay na kayo kung saan ang galing. Yan. So, mahaba yung inyong sinusulat na review of related literature and studies, humahaba rin yung lista sa baba. In that way, when you're done with your review of related studies, pag natapos nyo to, naka 50 pages na kayo nito, ibig sabihin, nandito na lahat sa baba, yung lahat ng authors na binanggit nyo. Ang gagawin na lang natin, i-format na lang natin yung references list. That is the strategy. I hope that you remember that. Para hindi kayo mahirapan na balikan yung kung sino yung source ng sinulat nyo doon sa paragraph. For example, eto, sinulat nyo si Lou dito, si Lou, pang-apelido lang, saka year ang sinulat nyo dito, hindi nyo nilagay sa baba kung ano yung pinanggalingan na title, saang journal nang galing, anong page. So, by the time na matapos mo lahat to, naka 80 pages ka na nito, hindi mo na ma-recall kung ano yung pinaka-kompleto na sources or information na sinulat ni Lou in 2002, saan nang galing. So, automatic yon. When you do your review of related literature, I hope na matatandaan nyo to. Habang nagsusulat kayo dito, you mention the author, sulat nyo na rin dito sa baba yung inyong complete information of that particular source. Kung hindi man, kaya sabi ko nga, sa index card yung ilagay, each index card, nandun na rin yung pinaka-information nung pinaka-paragraph na sinulat nyo from that particular author. That is one of the best strategies in writing your RRL saka RRS. Okay, so the first format is yung tinatawag po nating integral citation. Madali lang po yung integral citation. Ito po, hayaan na natin itong MLA. Dito tayo sa APA po. Ito po yung American Psychological Association format. Ito po yung ginagamit ng karamihan ng mga thesis sa mga dissertation. Ang integral citation is that author, saka year lang, makikita nyo po, inside the parentheses. Usually, the integral citation is found at the beginning of the paragraph. Nasa umpisa siya kasi integral, it means that who is mentioning, sino ang nagsabi nun. Okay? So, integral citation indicates who is the source or who said that particular information or idea. So, yan ang pinaka-format po ng integral citation. If you observe, siya po yung nasa umpisa madalas ng paragraph. Yung author sa yung year ay nasa umpisa ng paragraph. One study by Manalo reveals, ito ay active verb, no? May verb ka agad. One latest work by Lee, asserts, and so on. Okay? So, the first style of citation is the integral. Okay? Dalawa lang naman sila niya kasi. The first one is the integral, and the second one is the non-integral, which is on the next slide. So, this will be our second style. Okay? So, the non-integral citation. If the integral citation, ma'am and sir, ay usually is found at the beginning of the paragraph, the non-integral citation, you see that the author and the year is usually at the ending part of the paragraph. And if you observe the format of the non-integral citation is that the author, yung apelyido po ng author, is at the ending. Nasa, or not at the ending, it's inside already the parenthesis. Okay? And if you observe, the citation, the non-integral citation is at the ending part of the paragraph. Yan, nasa dulo siya. Okay? Which means that non-integral citation focuses not on who mentioned the idea, but it indicates what is being said by the author. Ang focus niya ay kung ano yung sinabi ng author, not who said the idea. The integral citation focuses on who, sino nagsabi. While the non-integral citation focuses on ano yung sinabi. So, the format is the parenthesis, the author and the year are inside the parenthesis. And usually, it is at the ending part of the paragraph. By the way, ma'am and sir, if you observe with this one, Villar, Marcos, Atienza, 2016, Santos, and is if you're using and already inside the parenthesis, nagiging symbol na siya. Okay? Pero pag if and is outside the parenthesis, wala lang tayong example, you have to spell out this as A and B. Okay? Mamaya may papakita pa akong mga sample. Pero yun nga, if you're listening very well, if you're using and outside, pag nasa integral citation, kunwari eto, integral citation, nasa labas yung author, dalawa yung author, si Santos at si Daes, ang and na gagamitin mo dito ay nakaspelled as A and B. But if it is inside the parenthesis, inside the parenthetical citation, you are using the symbol of the ampersand. Ampersand po ang tawag dito. So you are using and in the form of a symbol if it is inside the parenthesis in the non-integral citation. If it is the integral citation, the and should be spelled as A and D. So, what are the different patterns of citation? Okay, summary, of course. You're using your own words, okay, in summarizing, okay, the ideas of the original reference. So, for example, the source, no, pinagkuhaan mo nasa 5 pages, no. So, shortened version ang gagawin mo. So, instead of 5 pages, isusulat mo lang yon into 2 to 3 paragraphs. Okay? So, that is summary. Shortened version. When you do paraphrase, kung original niya, for example, is 1 paragraph. Okay? So, paraphrase is The original, for example, is one paragraph, mga 10 sentences. And when you do paraphrase, so you write it also what in one paragraph of the same length, kasing haba, using your own words. Okay? So when you do paraphrase, the original is 10 sentences. So sa'yo, siguro one paragraph, mga 9 to 10 sentences, 8 pwede na, and so on. Basta magkasing haba. When you do short direct quotation, if you remember a while ago, yung kay Lou, no? Short direct quotation, pwede mo copyhin actually yung actual na sinabi without summarizing or paraphrasing using the exact words of the author, not exceeding 40 words. Okay? So, lalagyan mo lang siya ng quotation mark and then ilalagay mo sa dulo doon yung page ng pinagkuhaan mo ng actual words stated by the author. Alright. Then, long direct quotation naman, pwede mong copyhin 40 up to 100 words. Okay? So, 40 to 100 words pwede mong copyhin in long direct quotation. But unlike in short direct quotation, yung actual words na yun pwedeng nandun lang siya sa paragraph. The long direct quotation, when you copy 40 to 100 words, meron siyang format sa pagsulat ng thesis. And I'll show you that in the next slide. So, this is an example when you do long direct quotation. So, for example, ito yung part. This is the part that you have summarized, no, or paraphrase from Hatton and Smith, no? So, ikaw to, na paraphrase mo to using your own words, the ideas mentioned by Hatton and Smith. Then, there is an idea by Boyd and Fales in 1983 na ayaw mo nang i-paraphrase. Gusto mo na siyang copyhin word for word using long direct quotation. So, the format will be like this. So, hindi siya double space unlike this one sa usual text ng thesis. Naka-single space siya. At the same time, siya ay naka-indented. Pasok siya dito. Pasok din dapat siya sa kabila dito. And then, ang font niya ay iba. This is Arial. Okay? Ito ay iba, Times New Roman. So, these are the actual ideas of Boyd and Fales using the long direct quotation. Pero, hindi mo na pinaraphrase, kinopya mo na lang, may page sa dulo. So, you can do direct quotation, 10% lang ng buong thesis. No? Hindi pwedeng abusuhin to. Okay? Kaya ngayong anti-plagiarism, ang pinaka-passing ko na lahat ng mga kinopya mo na directly pumula sa anti-plagiarism, mga 10% lang. Ang i-highlight lang na anti-plagiarism dapat yung mga direct quotation mo lang from your in your thesis, no, from authors. So eto, pupula to sa anti-plagiarism, okay lang kasi ito naman ay directly quoted. Okay, this is the correct format of long direct quotation. May sample tayo nito in actual thesis. Okay. So eto po sa actual thesis, no. Yan, this is an example of the long direct quotation. Yung sinite ni Ellis in 2013, hindi niya na pinaraphrase, kinopya niya lang word for word, pero ito yung format niya. Single space, then quotation mark, okay, gumamit siya ng quotation mark, and then page number. Kung saan niya nakuha yung actual words na yun. So this is the example of long direct quotation. For the most part, 90% of your paper dapat summarized and paraphrase. Okay? So, how do you do writing styles, opening sentences? So, yan. Avoid nyo yung palaging Thomas, 1996, Brown said, 2000, Smith, 2000. Put variety naman. So, early work. So, may mga pasok siya na may mga introduction because that is an excellent writing style as you introduce your paragraphs. So, ganyan dapat ang pasok palagi ng paragraphs. Once again, transitional devices according to sa libro natin na in-upload ko sa shinare ko sa ating Google Drive from Swales and Fick. Ito yung mga frequently used na mga transitional devices per paragraph. Ang pinakamaraming ginagamit yung however. Yan, sila yung pinakamarami palagi. So use transitional devices to connect your paragraphs. Okay? Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. So, you use present tense, ma'am and sir, if the author is stating a factual idea. Totoo siya. It's a factual idea. You use past tense if you're talking about the historical past. Kunwari, yung thesis niya, yung study na yun, ginawa nung nakaraan, 1980, 1985. So, past tense yun. We're talking about historical past. Pero pag ina-explain niya, factual idea, totoo siya, so, present. If it is what? Continuing up to now, so gamit kayo, basic na English grammar lesson. Present perfect tense. Marcos has explained. So, yun. If you are talking about what happened in the past and then continued, completed up to the present. So, we're almost at the ending part. Mag-drills na lang po tayo, ma'am and sir. Eto, I'll be giving you an example, yung galing sa original source. I-apply natin yung ating summarizing and paraphrasing skills in our paragraphs. Okay po, ready po tayo? So, eto. So, ano yung activity natin? You are going to apply natin, integral citation with long direct quotation, at saka i-apply natin yung non-integral citation using paraphrase. Okay? So, meron tayong original source, i-apply natin yung dalawang formatting po na to. Integral, saka non-integral, saka long direct quotation, saka paraphrase. So, try natin. Okay? So, this is the original source. For example, nag-research kayo, nagbasa kayo, and then you were able to encounter this particular source. Gagamitin nyo sa thesis nyo, kunwari. Okay? The Effect of Cigarette Prices on Youth Smoking by ang authors natin si Hannah Ross, PhD, Frank J. Chalupka, PhD. It was published on February 2001. Okay? At sa page 23 mo siya nakita. Ito yung from page 23. And then it came from UCSF, Center for Tobacco Control Research and Education. Galing siya sa website na to, sa site na to, https://escholarship.org. Okay? So, ito. So, ito yung isang example ng pwede nyo kunin palagi, no? Yung mga needed information sa index card nyo pag nagre-research na po kayo. Ito yung actual na sinabi niya. Ito yung original. Youth is of particular interest for public policy makers and economists because it is the most effective group to target for smoking prevention programs. And because there are some additional externalities associated with youth smoking, almost all first use of cigarette occurs during the high school years. At that age, consumers are either not well informed or they do not consciously process information on the health hazards of smoking. At one time, the young people are making a decision about smoking. They may not be fully aware of the health consequences of smoking. Youth typically underestimates the risk of addiction to cigarettes and mistakenly assumes that they can quit easily in a few years. So, ma'am and sir, so makikita po natin, ito po yung actual na paragraph. Original, from the original source po. No? So, mag-a-apply po tayo we are going to apply here our review of related literature and review of related study skills. No? Gagawin po natin itong RRL or RRS format. So, i-try natin yung ating first format. So, ang una nating gagawin ay nasa next slide. So, ayan po. Nagawa tayo, i-convert po natin siya into an integral cited paragraph, integral citation, pero gagamit tayo ng long direct quotation. Okay po? And the next one, try din natin gawin siyang non-integral citation, pero ipaparaphrase po natin. So, let's try yung sagot. So, let's try. Tingnan natin yung ating suggested answers. Although sa classroom sana, yung activity natin. Eto. Sample natin for suggested answers. So, integral citation with long direct quotation. So, nag-apply tayo ng integral. Eto. So, Ross and Chalupka. So, see, nakita nyo, nag-integral citation tayo by mentioning who is the author, tapos yung end niya, spelled out as A-N-D. So, etong part na to, eto ay pinaraphrase natin yung sinabi niya doon sa paragraph. So, own words natin to. Explain that teenagers pose a great interest for smoking prevention programs, particularly for individuals in the field of policymaking and economy because the youth is mostly connected with the issue of smoking. Tapos, gagamit tayo ng long direct quotation. So, yung other parts ng paragraph na yon, dahil long direct quotation ng style na ginamit natin dito, kinopya na lang natin yung actual words from the original. Ayan. Naka-format na lang siya as long direct quotation. Naka-LDQ format po siya. Kinopya na lang natin yung original source, yung sinabi doon sa original paragraph, and then up to 100 words po yan, and then nilagay na lang natin yung page number kung saan natin siya nabasa. So with this one, this is an example of doing your review of related literature using integral citation. At the same time, nag-apply po tayo ng long direct quotation. So, pwede nyo gamitin to. Ito yung mga ginagawa nyo pag sumusulat na kayo ng inyong review of related literature. Alright. Sa next one naman po, let's try the next one. Yung non-integral, ito yung okay. So, non-integral citation using paraphrase. So, this one, ibig sabihin, lahat ng mga sinabi doon sa original ay hindi natin kukopyahin. Wala tayong kukopyahin. We are going to convert everything in our own words kasi paraphrase nga. Okay? At the same time, mag-a-apply tayo ng non-integral citation, which means that the author is not at the beginning, wala siya dito sa umpisa, kundi nasa dulo. Nandito sa dulo kasi non-integral citation ngayon ginamit natin. So, the author is at the ending part, nasa loob siya nung parenthesis, and then yung end na ginamit natin ay nakasymbol na ng ampersand. Okay? So, because this is a paraphrase, expect nyo po na wala akong kinopya, hindi ko kinopya yung actual na sinabi sa original, but I use my own words. Ito po yung aking own words. No? These are my own words in converting this into an RRL. Okay? By the way po pala, pag yan ay RRL, Review of Related Literature, siya ay galing sa mga books, sa journals, sa mga books, sa journals, sa mga research articles, and so on. Pag related studies po, ang isang bagay, siya ay galing sa mga studies, thesis, mga dissertation, mga action researches, yun po. Yun po yung mga RRS, galing sa mga studies. Okay? So, pag related literature, galing siya sa libro, galing siya sa journals, galing siya sa mga research articles, and so on. Pero pag galing siya sa thesis, galing siya sa dissertation, galing siya sa mga ibang researches, so, siya ay tinatawag na review of related studies. No? Yan, bago tayo magtapos. So, eto, I converted this one into a review of related literature galing dun sa article ni Ross and Chalupka. So, paraphrase po siya. So, wala pong kinopya doon sa original. I use my own words. Sige po. So, my own words are, research has explained that teenagers pose a great interest for smoking prevention programs, particularly for individuals in the field of policy making and economy because the youth is mostly connected with the issue of smoking. Further, they emphasize that teenagers learned how to smoke when they were high school students, and this stage describes the lack of awareness on the dangers of smoking to their health. This lack of knowledge leads to mindsets that teenagers believe quitting the smoking habit is easy. So, if you observe, I use my own words. Ang tanong mo, sir, ang hirap gawin ng ganyan. Hindi siya mahirap gawin po. Ang gagawin nyo po, when you read the original source, basahin nyo na ilang beses. Unawain nyo kung ano yung sinasabi niya talaga. Ilang beses yung sang basahin, and you understand what is being said, okay, based dun sa kung ano yung pagkaunawa nyo po, and then tanggalin nyo yung binabasa nyo na original source, and then using your index card, isulat nyo po. Huwag nyo tignan yung original para hindi po kayo mag-copy word for word. Huwag nyo tignan yung original, basahin nyo 2, 3, 4 na beses yung original, tapos tanggalin nyo sa paningin nyo, and then isulat nyo sa index card nyo kung ano yung pangunawa nyo. Lagyan ng author, lagyan ng year based on either integral or non-integral citation. In that way, you come up with a paragraph which is what? According to your own words, which means that you're applying paraphrasing or summarizing at hindi kayo nagko-commit ng tinatawag nating copy-paste or plagiarism. Okay, that is the correct way of writing your thesis and writing your review of related literature and studies po. So, yan po. So, ang challenge po nito is that ang pagsusulat po ng review of related literature, siya po yung pinakamakapal na part ng thesis nyo. So, ito po yung gugugulan nyo ng mas mahabang panahon. You have to read, you have to apply paraphrasing and summarizing, or you can do either long direct quotation or direct quotation, short direct quotation, pero 10% lang dapat, very minimal. Okay? You have to devote time. Okay? You have to read very well. And then, basically, the more that you read, actually, the more that you understand better your study, the more that you are able to, you can actually contribute to the knowledge of the field. Mas nagkakaroon kayo ng magandang contribution because you understand fully the conceptualization of your study. Yun lang naman. Tatandaan nyo, dalawa lang naman ang integral, ang ating citation, either the non-integral and then the integral formatting. And don't forget po, with regard to related studies, as much possible, huwag kayong bababa sa 2010, okay? Within 2020 po kasi ngayon, dapat pinakabababa nyo na po yung 2010. Maghanap po kayo ng RRL or RRS na within 2010 pataas po, okay? And the rest po, ng ating mga format sa part ng proposal, i-upload ko sa group. Makikita nyo naman na doon po kung nung pagkasunod-sunod, ano yung dapat ilalagay. Although gagawa ko ng isang slide para ipaliwanag part by part. Okay? So, basically, that ends, no? So, yan po. So, that basically ends our lecture for today, for this week po. Thank you very much. Okay? I hope that you would religiously listen very well to the explanation. And then, for our proposal, ang review of related literature, actually yung requirement nyo po, chapters 1 and 2, dahil may COVID-19 crisis po tayo. So at least ang chapters 1 and 2 nyo po na magagawa, basically pinakamakapal po doon yung ating review of related literature and studies. Pwede na pong up to 30 pages po yung 1 and 2. Usually, nire-require ko sa methods of research up to 50 pages, no? Pero up to siguro yung proposal na masasubmit nyo, particularly kompleto yung review of related literature and studies, tatakbo siya ng mga 25 to 30 pages. So next week we'll have basically last lesson po yon with regard to the parts of methods of research, yung how to format, how to write your references or references list. Okay, so with that, thank you very much, and then happy writing po tayo.